Hello, friends and neighbors, boys and girls. Welcome back to another exciting, action-packed episode of Paul's Messy Bench Models and the conclusion to my build for the 2020 Big Rig Group Build, the AMT GMC Astro 95. Well, I really should include a thank you to Jeff at Jeff's Model Garage and Dylan over at NYS Modeling for hosting this year's Big Rig Group Build. I've had a lot of fun working on this kit, and I've had a lot of fun spying on everybody else working on theirs. So, thanks guys. Since the last video, I've completed final assembly and done a little bit more weathering. In the areas that were likely to get dusty and dirty, I made a very dilute mix of some tan and gray Tamiya paint and just kind of generally airbrushed it in it around the tires and the frame and the bottom part of the cab and the back of the cab. I scratch built some air and electric hoses for the back of the cab and a little retaining spring. That was kind of fun. The spring is just a wire I coiled around a drill bit, and the hoses are solder, which is kind of fun to work with because you can drape it and it won't spring back. It's very ductile. I managed to fog the windshield with super glue during the final assembly, and that was frustrating. It's still not perfectly clear, but I was able to work inside through the side windows with some Q-tips and kind of clean it up with Windex. It's not perfect, but at least it's not horrible anymore. The kit mirrors were just way too clunky, and I decided not to use them. So this piece is a piece of aluminum wire, and the mirror itself is cobbled together out of bits of styrene. For the marker lights on top of the cab, they're molded as all one piece, including the lens. And rather than painting the lens, I just cut the lens off and I stuck on a piece of clear sprue, and then I kind of rounded it and polished it to make it clear, and painted it with some Tamiya clear orange. I was worried that the cab was tipping too far forward, that the grill was resting on the bumper. So I added stops and little steel pins to keep it from tilting all the way forward. So what I did is I glued a couple of plastic blocks to the bottom of the hinge there, and I drilled a hole into the hinge bracket, stuck a little piece of wire in there, and I added a reinforcing strip because my pin was pretty close to the edge. And now I have a hinge stop. It keeps the grill from resting on the bumper when the cab tips forward. So when I was installing the hinge pins and trying to get the cab to fit at the right spot, I was having all kinds of problems, and I suspect that maybe AMT intended you to glue the hinges to the back of the grill and not the inside of the cab. That might work better. I don't know. I didn't actually try it that way, but I found a way to make this work, so that's what I went with. Some of the rust spots on the frame and the lug nuts, I used MIG streaking rust effects, which is kind of neat. You just paint a little dot generally where you want it, wait for it to dry a little bit, and then go back with some odorless paint thinner and just kind of dab it around there, and it'll sort of blend it out into the surrounding area. You get a nice realistic effect. I like it. Nice stuff. You want to use an odorless paint thinner something mild, not very aggressive, so that you don't start stripping paint off the model while you're trying to weather it. It's kind of expensive for a tiny bottle, but not as expensive as the time and effort to repaint. The windshield wipers on this kit were just ridiculously clunky and chunky looking, so I cut them apart and I thinned the pieces way down, and then I glued them back together, and they still look a little out of scale, but a lot better than they used to. So the headlight pieces, they're labeled left and right on the back, so I just went with that, and I put the L one on the left and I put the R one on the right, but I think they're actually reversed, or maybe they're talking left and right as if you were facing the truck, because now the headlights are kind of wall-eyed. They're both pointing off to the side. It's not very noticeable, and if I hadn't mentioned it, you probably wouldn't notice, but since I noticed, now I'll never unnotice. Oh well. So, if you build one, watch out for that. The door windows that come with the kit include the vent window and the side window, but I wanted a better view of the interior, so I didn't use them. I cut some clear plastic to just make the vent windows, and that way you can still kind of see inside. Doesn't photograph well, of course, but it's there. This is the first time I've finished a big rig kit, and it had some surprises for me. Maybe it's one of those things where you build one and then you know what not to do. Anyway, I'm hoping the next one, or two or three, will be a little bit easier and go a little bit faster. I've heard good things about the Italieri trucks, so maybe we'll do this one next year. This kit was a pain in the butt several times and kind of a long slog to get it done, but when you're done, you get an impressive looking model, and overall it was kind of fun. So I am looking forward to next year's big rig group build, and maybe I'll do one before then too. Anyway, thanks for watching. There's a part 1 and part 2 to this review of the kit also, so go back and look at those. There's more construction tips in the previous videos. Well, thanks for watching. We'll talk to you later. Bye now.